think that, rituals, if we use that abstract concept of a ritual, what rituals do is, in some sense, there are ways in which we collectively remind ourselves of our expectations. And through performing those rituals, we can reinforce those expectations, those rules, those ideologies about how we collectively want to live with each other, how we collectively want to relate to the cosmos, or relate to the natural world, or relate to the agencies we perceive in the cosmic or the universe. And so what rituals are able to do is they're bringing people together, and they're allowing people to pass on information, to educate people. So rituals have a kind of pedagogical function of teaching morality, teaching history, teaching where we came from and where we're going. And so what we're doing collectively in this sense is, one argument about rituals is that what rituals do is, in some sense, they function to hold the group together. They function to remind the group about its collective and shared goals. And in some sense, rituals function to actually provide unity, because the group is together doing it. And so in the doing of it, that unity is in some sense expressed. It's evident, it's right in front of us. And so another thing that we do when we're doing these rituals is we come together not just to kind of express our unity, but we even experience emotionally. We experience emotionally collective joy or collective sorrow. I mean, one scholar who thought about these issues very early on, Emil Durkheim, talks about how rituals produce in groups what he called collective effervescence, a kind of shared experience, a shared joy, or a shared kind of emotional unity. And so we can think of this when, we go to sports games, and we might go to a sports game because somebody's bought us a ticket, and we might be ambivalent about the team, or we don't really want to go because we don't like going in the car parks, or we don't like large crowds. But when we get there, we see a lot of people cheering and jumping and yelling, and we see the game being played, and we see the artistry of the sport and the talent, and we start to see, well, I want to experience in some sense, or I want to express my appreciation. And so, of course, we cheer, or we boo, and we stand up and we do the wave, or we get manipulated. We have people who are into sports arenas who in some sense are ritual experts themselves, and they're dancing for us and playing music, or we have a mascot teaching us how to cheer. And so that idea of collective effervescence that Durkheim's pointing to is, we can see this when we go to events. We're allowed to, at an event, yell and cheer and scream. And when we leave the stadium, we're not allowed to do that when we come to class, or we're not allowed to do that when we're walking down the street. So it creates an arena where we can express a certain way of acting emotionally and being emotionally. And we can think of the exact opposite, where rituals allow us to express sorrow. So in some sense, we have to think of our emotions as being socially constructed, and rituals are a way in which, in a controlled environment, we can express our emotions. So in some sense, we're not allowed to cry, say, in public, or we might be